Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm Zeus Kerravala from ZK Research, and I'm here at the Cisco AI Summit in San Francisco. I'm with Jim Kavanaugh, longtime CEO of Worldwide Technology. Jim, first time on with me. I'm delighted to have you.
It's great to be here.
Yeah. So for those not familiar with Worldwide Technology, you've been CEO now almost 25 years.
Almost 35.
Oh, almost 35.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just a quick description on who Worldwide Technology is, and what you thought of the day too.
First of all, I thought the day was great. We can talk a little bit more about that if you'd like. But Worldwide is an IT systems integrator founded in 1990. We have almost 15,000 employees now.
Yeah.
Just completed the acquisition of SoftChoice up in Canada. And we're Cisco's largest partner in the world.
Yeah.
And it's been something that we've built into. So a lot of great things going on. Very excited about the day also.
Yeah. Well, there's not an event I go to where you don't win some kind of award. So that's a testament to, I think, the work you do. Now, this is the second Cisco AI Summit. Last year, I felt like it seemed more like a science fair. And this year, it seemed more like a factory floor, and that we're trying to get work done. And so from your perspective, what was you think the big signal that this event sent to the market?
Yeah, I think the big signal is just Cisco's strategic focus on what they're doing. So overall, what they're doing in the market today, I think they've got more momentum and I would say just a lot of energy in regards to their core capabilities and infrastructure. But also to this event here, I think it really demonstrates their commitment to thinking even bigger and thinking about how AI is going to play into the Cisco portfolio in a bigger and more meaningful way. And to think about the speakers and the guests that they had, that they're not individuals that are just completely integrated into Cisco's portfolio. They're thought leaders,
Yes.
they're individuals that are leading the AI kind of revolution. So it really covered a lot of ground, and I think it said a lot about how Chuck's looking at this, how G2's looking at AI, and how they're looking at things much bigger than Cisco, and how they can bring this together for their customers.
Yeah, it's been a good pivot for Cisco. I've been following Cisco a long time. And, to be frank, they've had some hits over the years and also some misses, but it seems like they're all in on AI. In fact, they initially talked a lot about their AI Ethernet and their Silicon One as part of their portfolio. And so for the WWT customers moving from experimentation to production, how does this shift in the portfolio, how is it meaningful to them?
How is Cisco? Cisco?
Well, their pivot more to really lean in Silicon One and their AI-ready Ethernet, right, as their next-gen products here.
Yeah, I would look at it from a perspective that Cisco, one, I think, all the way down to the silicon level, as you mentioned, but looking at how important it is and how strategic it is to them to be able to connect, I would say, everything from the GPUs and kind of the data center and how that's going to connect to the network and the infrastructure and the outcomes that are going to be driven. So along with, their connection and building this strategic relationship with NVIDIA. So I think they're looking at things in a very big, broad way, not taking their eye off the ball of the things that they do incredibly well today, but also thinking about where is the market going and what is the market going to need from Cisco to continue to enable AI infrastructure and AI outcomes.
Yeah, and on the NVIDIA partnership, I'm glad you brought that up, and because you're a massive partner for both Cisco and NVIDIA, right? And so how do the joint partnerships really change the value proposition, I guess, that you can bring to joint customers?
Yeah, we couldn't be more excited to be a strategic partner.
Makes your life easier, right?
No, it really does. And the relationship we have with Cisco and the long-term relationship with Chuck and G2 and so many leaders within Cisco, but also the same with NVIDIA. We've been working with NVIDIA for almost 10 years now. We've been Partner of the Year for 9 years. So being in the right place at the right time and seeing, with generative AI taking off and everything that's happened over the last 3 to 5 years, it's a great position and place to be in to bring these organizations together and help integrate their products to bring even, I would say, more optimally designed and built solutions for customers.
Yeah, now let's pivot a little bit to adoption, right? And WWT recently announced, it's called the IT Infrastructure Modernization Priorities Report for 2026. It obviously highlighted that AI is a top priority for companies. In your conversation with customers though, what's the number one or two things that are really holding them back as they try and move AI out of the labs and into production?
Yeah, it's, I would say there's different customer challenges in different environments. So if you're looking at hyperscalers or the neoclouds, it's really around infrastructure and the complexity. And that, is a whole, I would say we could spend days kind of going through how that's working, but they're moving incredibly fast, investing an incredible amount of money, and they see that continuing to go for time. When you think about the enterprise, I would say the challenges are organizations are really trying to figure out how can they more quickly drive AI into their enterprise organization, and how can they align it up and start driving these AI outcomes. And to do that, it's not quite as easy as just actually writing a prompt to OpenAI.
No, yeah.
There's a lot of complexity in regards to aggregating your data, making sure that you're thinking strategically how that's going to align, how it's going to be governed, and how you're going to deliver those outcomes. So those things are happening in some organizations. They're happening faster than others, and some, I think, are finding a bit of frustration because they may be, I would say, not committing to the resources that are required to actually drive those outcomes.
Yeah, now there's a lot of shadow AI going on,
Yep.
right? And we all know that. And obviously that creates the risk of having these own managed AI agents. And would you say right now though that are customers more afraid of missing the AI wave, or are they more afraid of the security fallout?
Wow.
Which is the bigger force?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah.
It really, it's a both.
Yeah.
But if I had to make a decision one way or the other, I think it would be the first, that they're more concerned about missing out. And personally, I think that is
Rightfully
right.
so, yes.
It really is, because we're still in the very, very early stages of where AI is and how it's going to transform industries and companies. And if you're going to sit there and wait for this to play out to perfection, you're going to be too late, and I think you will get disrupted in a very, very ugly way.
Yeah.
And so I think you're going to have to move, and it's moving by making investments down the AI journey without expecting perfection, and understanding exactly what this is going to deliver.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I talk to companies where they try some AI and then it fails at 1 out of 50 things and they go, see, you made a mistake, right? Well, people make a lot more mistakes than that. And so I always think that the barrier to entry is just better than people, right? And
well, you think about it, some of the speakers today from Google, from OpenAI, from Anthropic, and if there was a theme, there's a number of themes. Software development's a theme, using AI coding platforms and coding assistants. But the other one was how fast the models are continuing to learn and change and iterate and get better. And their point was, kind of to your point, is that if you're sitting there and you're trying, you're getting frustrated, the models are getting better, and if you have the perseverance and you continue to iterate, all of a sudden you see these breakthroughs coming through, and they're coming through on a regular basis, but it's going to require a level of commitment and perseverance to make those things happen. And that's going to be the same thing that's going to be internal to companies.
yeah, now as CEO of WWT, right, you're obviously in the leadership position. I thought one of the more interesting sessions was Frank Katsoudis' at the end on leadership. What's it like, after all these years running a company where AI is so rampant in there, there's so much change going on?
A big part of Fran's discussion, I think, and her point was, the cultural side, the people side. And I think Chuck hit on this also in his closing comments, the importance of making sure that you are engaging and including your employee base, and you're working with them and listening to them as you go through this process, because there are concerns that employees have about, job displacement, and what is this going to mean for them? And so I think you've got to be honest, you need to be transparent, but you also need to make the commitment to them to upskill their training, and they need to make that same commitment to actually know that things are going to be different as we move forward. And that's going to require us all to think different, from the CEO all the way down to every job within that company. So culture, people, it's a massive part of this, and it needs to be understood.
Are you getting asked to step into that role too? Like, not just help with infrastructure, but also help with the cultural aspect, and how do we transition our workforce, and how do we reskill? Because through all these tech transitions, I've seen them all, Jim, all the way back to mainframes to PCs. It's like a group of employees got left behind, right? And I think, to me anyways, it seems like business leaders are much more aware this time that this could happen. And I'm curious, from that people side, are you guys getting more involved in that too?
Absolutely. I can tell you personally, I am very actively involved with not only the technology and the AI kind of vision and leadership within the company, but also what is it going to mean to our people, and how do we communicate to our people to make them feel, I would say, safe, and also understand there's accountability from our side, from the leadership standpoint, but there's also accountability from the employees' perspective. And we're helping customers work through this also. Yeah. It's not, like you said, just a technology transformation, it's a people transformation.
Yeah, and you also mentioned the term outcomes, and I'm glad you said that. In fact, I was at the NRF show earlier this year, and one of the Cisco speakers actually mentioned how that show had transitioned from a technology show to an outcome-based show, which was good. Now, with AI, just the wide range of speakers, we talked a lot, but a lot of different use cases. If a CIO or a CEO came to you and said, what are those short-term outcomes that can give us the bang for the buck to prove AI, where would you have them start?
Well, there's areas that are you're seeing traction right now. I wouldn't recommend that you just look at specific things and try to get that short-term, view, but I can give you a few examples. I think they need to step back and make sure that they're committing that this is a long-term journey. This is something that they need to be committed to. Now, again, to do that, if you look at specific areas, I would say software development. Mm-hmm. You've heard a lot today.
Yeah, there's a lot of talking with software development.
I spend a lot of time with our entire software development team internally, our digital team, our teams that go out and build code for clients. And that journey is happening as we speak. The magnitude of change and the outcomes that are being delivered by those developers that know how to use the coding tools and coding platforms, it's game changing. So that's one area you should be thinking about. How do you upgrade and train your entire organization? And it's not just developers, it's engineers, management consultants around using these coding platforms and assistants. I would say the other one is thinking about specific areas, and some of the more likely ones are like customer service. It could be internally, help desk scenarios, could be contact centers and types of customer service applications. But the bigger point I would also make is that thinking about how do you aggregate and organize your data, because how you get to your data and you manage your data and you govern your data is what's going to be a big part of the unlock of delivering not just 2 use cases, but delivering hundreds of use cases.
Do many companies have their data house in order?
No.
And is this the year you think they'll actually focus on that instead of chasing the shiny new object?
Yeah, we talked a little bit. If you're a completely new company and you're starting from scratch and you're building, then you're going to let these, AI coding platforms go crazy, and they're going to be able to write.
And there's 5 of those in the world.
Right,
so
right. Yeah. So when you look at companies that are big companies with a lot of data, a lot of complexity, it's going to take time, and it takes data analysts, data architects, data scientists working with your business consultants, your developers. But it's something that you can't avoid, and you can't just snap your finger and all of a sudden the data is going to magically be everywhere where you want it to be. So it takes time, but it's going to be worth the time and effort that you put into it. But it is absolutely critical to unlock these AI use cases.
Yeah. Now I want to talk about how WWT can help customers. So you've invested, I think it's something like $500 million into your AI Proving Ground,
Yep.
which is part of your Advanced Technology Center.
Yes.
Can you talk about how that's different than a standard vendor lab or public cloud sandbox?
Yeah, the lab has a lot of different, I would say, capabilities to it. First of all, it's helping clients look at a multitude of different AI purpose-built platforms that you have that can be everything from GPUs to CPUs to networking to storage to software that comes in, and then how to connect into different large language models and how to actually build orchestration layers. So there's a lot of complexity on the infrastructure side. And then if you think about the software that is continuing to be rolled out, it's quite massive. And the speed of the deployment of the large language models and the AI coding platforms in different organizations, like a Glean, those organizations are coming and they're iterating very quickly. So our labs help organizations get their hands on those different hardware and software products, those different architectures, and we can help guide them through what is the right architecture and solution for them.
Yeah, and what are your core messages, in fact, I've heard you personally talk about, is that AI is a team sport, right? Cisco and NVIDIA are just a couple names, but also Pure Storage, right? There's other networking vendors. How does the AI Proving Ground help customers piece all those different things together?
And that's exactly what we do.
Yeah.
Is you're bringing together, it could be hundreds of different technology products.
Literally hundreds.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that is a dilemma and a challenge that customers have, is to figure out how can they stay on top of all of these products that are coming out, and then look at building them into an integrated architecture. And then you want to build it into an architecture that aligns with the enterprise environment that customer has. So helping them work through that. And another thing that we've talked a little bit about, but how do you do that in a way where you're also very thoughtful about how you're governing and securing that and thinking about the cyber side of that piece of it?
That's another 100 vendors.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. Now, customers want to learn more about the AI Proving Ground. Where do they go?
They go to worldwide, go to our website. You'll be able to find it quite easily.
Yeah.
We will have, applications and different capabilities to get in to look at different, I would say, training environments, different integrated, proving grounds that we have out there. So I would highly recommend to go out, take a look, and we will help get you the access to the different platforms that you would need to really accelerate your journey around AI, which it's exciting, but it can be daunting at the same time.
And so let's end there. One last question for that CIO that's like scratching their head going, oh my God, I have to go in with this. My boss is on me about it. Where do I start? Where do they start, Jim?
My view is call worldwide.
Yeah.
And we honestly...
it's a fair point.
Yeah. We will help you think through not just the technology, but the plan, your vision, your communication to your employees, a roadmap to help you build a roadmap. So it's a lot more, as we've discussed here, than just technology. It's literally aligning technology to the vision and the mission and the culture of your organization. And we can help bring those things together and do it in what I think is a very accelerated way with real practitioners that are not just, speaking from white papers. These are very competent people that are living this every day.
All right, thanks. Anything else you want to add?
No, just thank you for having me.
No, thank you. I was thrilled to have you. I've had Joe Berger, Brian Ortball's on before, so it's good to get the big dog here.
Good.
Yeah.
No,
So
thank you.
So on behalf of Jim Kavanaugh, CEO of Worldwide Technology, I'm Zeus Kerravala from ZK Research, and thanks for watching. Give us a like and also hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on my next episode of ZKast. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Thanks.